I found out my grandson had graduated from Facebook. Not from my son. Not from my daughter-in-law. Not from a phone call, not a card, not even a 5-word text that said, "Hey Dad, ceremony is Friday." Facebook. I was sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of black coffee when a photo popped up on my feed. My grandson, Tyler, standing in a blue cap and gown, holding his diploma with that awkward half-smile teenage boys use when they're trying not to look too proud. The caption was written by my daughter-in-law, Kelly. "So proud of our boy. Perfect graduation day surrounded by the people who matter most." People who matter most. I stared at those words for a long time. Then, 10 minutes later, my banking app buzzed. 6 charges hit my credit card. Catering. Balloons. Photographer. Custom cake. Party rental chairs. A banner company. Total, $2,184.63. For the graduation party I hadn't been invited to. My name is Robert Callahan. I'm 67, retired postal supervisor, widower, and the kind of grandfather who has shown up for everything. I was there when Tyler was born. I was in the hospital waiting room with a grocery store teddy bear, and hands shaking so badly I spilled coffee on my shoes. I picked him up from kindergarten every Wednesday when Jason and Kelly were both working late. I taught him how to ride a bike in the church parking lot because Kelly said their subdivision was too dangerous. I paid for his math tutor in 9th grade when he was failing algebra and too embarrassed to tell his parents. When Tyler wanted to quit after-school robotics because the fee was too high, I wrote the check. When he needed a laptop for junior year, I bought one and told him it was an early birthday gift. So no, I wasn't some distant grandpa expecting a front-row seat for doing nothing. I had been there. Quietly. Consistently. Usually with my wallet open. And apparently, that was my assigned role. Pay but don't appear. The first person I called wasn't my son. That surprised even me. The old Robert would have called Jason immediately and asked what happened. I would have given him room to explain. I would have swallowed whatever excuse he offered because he was my only child and I still carried the guilt of raising him after his mother died. But something about seeing that caption next to those bank charges changed the order of things in my head. So I called my credit card company. A woman named Marisol answered. "I need to report unauthorized charges," I said. She asked for the card number, verified my identity, then read the charges back to me. "Sir, these appear to be recent and local. Do you recognize the vendors?" "I recognize what they were used for," I said. "I did not authorize them." She paused, professional but careful. "Do you have any authorized users on this account?" "I used to." Jason had been an authorized user years earlier during a rough patch. He and Kelly had gone through what they called a temporary liquidity problem, which in plain English meant they spent too much money and expected me to soften the landing. I added him to one card for emergencies. Groceries. Gas. The kids. Not party banners. Not photographers. And 6 months later, when he used it to buy concert tickets, I removed him. I remember doing it. I kept records. I've always kept records. 34 years at the post office teaches you that a missing receipt can become a full-blown investigation if the wrong person wants it to be. Marisol confirmed it. "Your son Jason Callahan was removed as an authorized user 18 months ago. No current authorized users are listed." There it was. The first real piece of the puzzle. "Then please freeze the card," I said, "and open a fraud dispute." She did. Only after that did I call Jason. He didn't answer. Kelly did. Not from her phone. From Jason's. "Robert," she said, already sounding annoyed. "This really isn't a good time." I looked again at the Facebook photo. Tyler was standing under a balloon arch that apparently I had paid for. "I can see that," she sighed. "If this is about the ceremony, Tyler only had limited tickets. Were there also limited invitations to the party?" Silence. Then she said, "We didn't think you'd be comfortable." "At my grandson's graduation?" You get emotional, she said. And honestly, Robert, sometimes you make things about yourself. I almost laughed. I had spent 18 years making sure nothing was about me. I said, my credit card was used for the party. Her voice sharpened. Jason said you always help with family milestones. I help when I'm asked. Well, we assumed. No, I said. You charged. That was when she got cruel. Robert, don't be dramatic. You weren't excluded. We just kept the day focused on Tyler. You can be a little embarrassing. Embarrassing. I had worn the same navy suit to every school event because it was the only one I owned after my wife's funeral. I took too many pictures. I asked old man questions about homework and college applications. I sometimes told stories about Jason as a boy that Jason didn't like. Maybe I was embarrassing. But I was also the man whose card bought the cake. I said, Kelly, the card was not authorized. She gave a short laugh. Are you seriously threatening your own family over a graduation party? No. I'm letting the bank handle unauthorized charges. The line went quiet. Then Jason came on. Dad, what the hell? That was the first time he had spoken to me about graduation. I said, congratulations to Tyler. Don't do that. Don't act like the victim. I found out from Facebook. He groaned. Mom always handled this stuff. You know I'm bad with invitations. That one hit low. His mother, Linda, had been dead for 11 years. Using her as an excuse for forgetting me was a habit I had allowed for too long. I said, your mother never forgot anyone who loved her child. Jason lowered his voice. Look, Kelly was worried you'd make Tyler uncomfortable. He's at that age. Did Tyler say that? No answer. Jason. He snapped. It doesn't matter. The day is over. Just don't make a mess with the bank. And there it was. Not. I'm sorry. Not. We should have told you. Just don't make a mess. I didn't have to make one. They had already done that. The next week was mostly paperwork. The bank asked the vendors for receipts. The caterer sent an invoice with Kelly's email address and a note that said, use card ending in 4421, Grandpa Robert is covering the food. The balloon company sent an online order form. Kelly had typed my billing address but her phone number. The photographer was the most useful one. He sent a signed payment authorization form. Not my signature. Kelly's. She had signed her own name on a payment form attached to my card. That little detail changed the dispute from maybe family confusion to clear unauthorized use. Marisol from the bank called me personally. Mr. Callahan, we've received documentation confirming the charges were made by someone not authorized on the account. We're reversing them pending final review. Thank you. There may be merchant follow-up. The vendors may seek payment from the person who placed the orders. I understand. I understood perfectly. 2 days later, Jason showed up at my house. He looked tired. Not sorry. Tired. He stood on my porch with his hands in his hoodie pocket like he was 16 again, and had dented my garage door. Dad, you need to call the bank and cancel the dispute. No, the vendors are calling Kelly. They should. He stared at me. It was Tyler's graduation. I know. That's why I would have paid if someone had invited me or even asked me. Jason rubbed his face. You're making Kelly look like a criminal. She used a credit card that wasn't hers. She thought it was fine. No, I said. She thought I'd swallow it. That landed. He looked away. Then he tried another angle. You're going to ruin Tyler's memory of graduation. I opened the screen door and stepped onto the porch. Jason, I want you to listen carefully. Tyler's memory of graduation was already damaged when his grandfather found out from Facebook. The bill just proved what role you and Kelly thought I had. His jaw tightened. You always do this. You keep score. I nodded. I do. That's what happens when people keep sending you the bill. He left without saying goodbye. That night I wrote Tyler a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A letter. Kids don't get many of those anymore, and sometimes paper holds a different kind of truth. I told him I was proud of him. I told him I had seen the photos and that he looked happy. I told him I was sorry I wasn't there, but I wanted him to know something clearly. I had not chosen to miss it. I did not mention the credit card. I did not blame his parents. I just wrote, I was not invited, but that does not mean I stopped showing up in the ways I can. Then I included a check made out directly to the college bookstore he would use in the fall. Not to Jason. Not to Kelly. To Tyler's student account. 3 days later, Tyler called me. His voice was quiet. Grandpa? Hey, kiddo. I didn't know. I figured. Mom said you were busy. I closed my eyes. No. I wasn't. He was silent for a while. Then he said, I wanted you there. That almost broke me. I had been calm through Kelly's insults, Jason's excuses, the bank forms, and the porch confrontation. But hearing my grandson say that he wanted me there, and thought I had chosen not to come, that got through the armor. I wanted to be there too, I said. We talked for 20 minutes. About school. About his roommate assignment. About whether he should take his old laptop or buy something lighter. Normal things. Good things. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen and let myself be sad for exactly 1 cup of coffee. Then I made 2 more calls. The first was to my attorney, not because I wanted a lawsuit, but because I wanted my accounts and estate documents cleaned up. Jason had been listed as secondary contact on several things. Emergency access. Old beneficiary forms. A utility autopay login I didn't even remember setting up. All of that changed. The second call was to my financial advisor. For years I had planned to leave Jason a fairly straightforward inheritance, with Tyler getting his share through Jason. That changed too. Tyler's education fund became direct and protected. Jason and Kelly could not access it, borrow against it, or manage it. My will was updated so any money intended for grandchildren went directly to them in trust, not through their parents. That was my quiet revenge. Not taking everything away. Just removing the middlemen who had confused love with access. The final payoff came about a month later. Kelly had refused to pay 2 of the vendors, claiming the bank reversal messed up the billing. The caterer, who apparently had no patience for rich neighborhood nonsense, filed in small claims court. Because Kelly had signed the authorization form, because her emails showed she placed the orders, and because the bank confirmed she wasn't authorized to use my card, the judge ordered her to pay the outstanding balance plus fees. It was not a life-destroying amount. That mattered to me. I didn't want my grandson's parents ruined. I wanted them exposed to the exact consequence they tried to hand me. Kelly also lost her position as treasurer of the Parent Booster Committee after another parent heard about the case. That part was not my doing, but I won't pretend I lost sleep over it. Jason called once after that. You got what you wanted, he said. No, I answered. I wanted to watch my grandson graduate. He had nothing to say to that. A few weeks later, Tyler came over. He brought his cap and gown because he said his parents had taken plenty of pictures, but he wanted one with me. We stood in my backyard under the old maple tree Linda planted when Jason was born. Tyler put his arm around my shoulders, taller than me now, and grinned. My neighbor took the photo. Afterward, Tyler handed me a folded program from the ceremony. I saved you one, he said. I looked at that piece of paper and felt something in me settle. Not heal completely, but settle. Jason and Kelly still think I overreacted. I know because Elaine, my sister, still gets family gossip and reports back whether I ask or not. Apparently Kelly tells people I called fraud over party supplies. Good. Let her. Because that sentence leaves out the part where she didn't invite me. It leaves out the part where she signed her name to my money. It leaves out the part where my son cared more about keeping the bill paid than making sure his father knew his grandson was graduating. I didn't shout. I didn't sue for pain and suffering. I didn't cut off Tyler. I froze a card, opened a dispute, collected receipts, updated my documents, and let every adult pay for the choices they made. That's the thing about being treated like a wallet. Eventually the wallet can close. And when mine did, it made a sound my son and daughter-in-law finally heard.